All right, let's dive into something that a ton of people deal with but might not fully understand: carpal tunnel syndrome. We're going to break down exactly what it is, why it might be happening to you, and most importantly, all the ways you can find relief. Does this sound familiar? You wake up and your hand feels fuzzy, kind of numb and tingly. So you give it a good shake and it seems to go away. But then it's back. Maybe when you're just trying to drive your car or hold your phone. If you're nodding your head right now, then you are absolutely in the right place. So, what is behind that annoying, sometimes painful, numb and tingly feeling? Let's get right into the mechanics of what's actually happening inside your wrist. Okay, so imagine your wrist has this narrow little passageway. That's the carpal tunnel. Now, through this tunnel runs a super important nerve, kind of like a major data cable for your hand, called the median nerve. Carpal tunnel syndrome is what happens when that tunnel gets too crowded and the nerve gets pinched. All that pressure is what's causing all the trouble. And the symptoms are really specific, which is interesting. It's usually not your whole hand. It's the thumb, your pointer finger, middle finger, and about half of your ring finger. Waking up in the middle of the night because of it? That's a classic sign. And that frustrating weakness where you feel like you're suddenly dropping your keys all the time? Yep, that's on the list too. So, if any of that is ringing a bell, I bet your next thought is, okay, why is this happening to me, and how do I know for sure? Let's get you some answers. First off, I want you to know you are so far from alone on this. It's an incredibly common condition. We're talking up to 6% of all adults. That is millions and millions of people dealing with the exact same thing. And here's a really key fact. Who gets it most often? It turns out women are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop carpal tunnel syndrome. Part of the reason is just anatomy. Women often have a naturally smaller carpal tunnel, so there's less room for error, you know? So what else could be putting you at a higher risk? Well, it's a whole cocktail of factors. Doing the same hand motions over and over again is a big one for sure. But so are things like having diabetes or arthritis, hormonal shifts from pregnancy, or even just having it run in your family. The main point here is that it's rarely just one single thing. It's usually a combination of your job, your health, and even your genes. The good news is, figuring this out isn't a guessing game at all. Your doctor will start with a few simple tests in the office. And if they need more info, they can do what's called a nerve conduction study. It basically measures the signal speed in your nerve to see if there's a traffic jam. So it's a very clear-cut process to get a real, definitive answer. Okay, so you have a diagnosis. Now for the most important part, right? What in the world can you do about it? Let's walk through the toolkit of options, starting with the simplest stuff first. Your first line of defense is usually non-medical. We're talking simple, low-risk things you can do yourself, like wearing a wrist splint at night, which is a game changer for a lot of people, or just making small tweaks to your desk setup. For mild cases, these little changes can make a huge difference. Now, if the splinting and other adjustments aren't quite cutting it, you've still got options before you even think about surgery. A steroid injection can be a great next step. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory that goes right to the source and calms down the swelling around the nerve. Physiotherapy is another great tool, teaching you exercises to help the nerve glide more freely. But what about those more stubborn, severe cases? That's when surgery often comes into the picture. And I know that word can sound scary, but just look at this number. The success rate for this surgery is over 90%. That's just incredible and should give you a lot of confidence. The surgery itself has a really simple, elegant goal. A surgeon just cuts this tight ligament that acts like the roof of the carpal tunnel, and that's it. By releasing that ligament, it instantly creates more space, and the pressure on that poor nerve is finally relieved. Getting treatment is a massive step forward, but the journey doesn't just stop there. Knowing what to expect afterward on the road to recovery is absolutely key. So, recovery happens in stages. The first couple of days are all about keeping your hand elevated and managing any swelling. Pretty soon, within a week or two, you're usually back to doing light things like typing. The main rule, though, is to take it easy on any heavy lifting for about a month. You gotta give your body time to heal up right. Now, this part is super important. While recovery is usually pretty smooth, you need to know the warning signs. If things suddenly get way worse, like the numbness or weakness skyrockets, or you see signs of an infection, you need to call your doctor right away. Don't wait. If there is one thing I want you to take away from all of this, it's this. Carpal tunnel syndrome is not a life sentence. It is a very, very treatable condition. The whole point of getting treatment is to get your hand function back and seriously improve your quality of life. So, we've walked through the whole journey, from that first weird tingle to all the different paths for recovery. The final question really is for you. Knowing what you know now, what's one small step you can take for your hands starting today? Maybe it's just being more mindful of those symptoms, or maybe it's finally making that call to your doctor. What's it going to be?